Well, joining us now with more on this is Bink. She's the Assistant Administrator for Response and Recovery at FEMA. Good morning. Thanks for being here. So Ian, now a Category 1 hurricane, likely to grow stronger in the coming days before it may hit Florida later this week. So if you could give us an update on what FEMA is doing right now to help people ahead of the storm.
Hi, Stephen. Thank you very much for having me. Yes, as the reporter mentioned, right now we are working to pre-position commodities and supplies, things like food, water, generator support, as well as pre-positioning our specialized teams to ensure that we can respond quickly post landfall. You know, what we're looking at now is the cone is wide and impacts will be felt outside of that cone. So to reiterate what we've just heard, it's very important that folks have an evacuation plan, have a readiness plan, and execute that plan.
And yesterday, Governor Ron DeSantis had this to say about the potential effects of Ian on Florida. Let's listen.
It's important to point out to folks that the path of this is still uncertain. The impacts will be broad throughout the state of Florida. Anticipate power outages. That is something that will likely to happen with a hurricane of this magnitude. Anticipate fuel disruptions.
So we hear him talking about power outages and fuel disruptions. What plans should people be taking now to make sure they have what they're going to need to stay safe?
Absolutely. With the rapid intensification of this storm, it is highly likely there will be power outages upon and even possibly before landfall. It's very important to go to ready.gov and make your plans. It's also important to download the FEMA app where you can get emergency alerts and warnings. Listen to your local officials. If they urge evacuation, heed those warnings. This is a very large and powerful storm system that will not only drive heavy rains and storm surge, but also dangerous winds.
And you mentioned evacuations. From what we can tell right now, do you expect that people will be asked to evacuate?
So know your zones. Those decisions will be made at the local level. So pay attention to your local officials. Make sure you're ready. The best thing to do right now is also to be linked up with your friends, family, your neighbors, folks that will need extra time to potentially move out or have additional needs at home. Make sure you're checking on them. Make sure you have an extra key for their house, that you know where their medications are. And Florida's leaning into this. They've set up a website called floridadisaster.org. If you have medical needs that require electricity with your medical equipment, or you have medications that require refrigeration, please register so the state knows where you are and local officials do, so we can respond to your needs post-landfall.
Some important tips there. And moving forward after the storm hits, we saw how wide that cone is. What resources will be available to help people recover from the potential effects of Ian?
And depending on the effects, you know, sheltering may be necessary. You can also find that in the FEMA.gov app. But just make sure you're keeping aware, keeping alert, and checking on each other throughout the storm. And we'll, again, all those pre-position resources and teams I spoke about earlier will all be available to bring to bear with the state. I want to say, too, Florida's really leaning into their preparedness here, and we stand in lockstep with them.
Hoping for the best here, but preparation is so key. Bink, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.